So, do you ever feel the desire to be Instagram perfect as a mom?
I literally had to get a tattoo to remind me that that's a bad idea.
Welcome to the Strong Like a Mother podcast with Cherie
and Jada. We're doing your best. Doesn't mean you have to be perfect.
This is true. Although, I love that tattoo so much that I considered getting it also, which...
Really? We should have did this on a girls trip.
We
could
could
have
have
got tattoos together.
I mean, it's, we'll have to think of another tattoo to get together. I mean, I never want to, take yours, but whenever you told me, you're like, I think I'm getting this tattoo. And when you told me, I was like, I freaking love that. Like, that's amazing.
I just need that reminder. So, because clearly no one knows what that tattoo is if you've not met me. But I have a tattoo on my inner arm. It's they called it like a reminder message to say, run your own race. Just social media, life, just the era of comparison is just so hard. It's really hard for moms a lot of times because you see these moms and they're doing this stuff and you're like, why am I not doing this? Yeah. They seem to be doing everything. Look, they're traveling with their kids. They're all happy. Like, we're not all happy traveling. That's just not always. We definitely make good memories in there, but it is for sure work, the way I keep my house up, the things I feed my kids. Listen, I've parented long enough to where I'm just like, as long as you eat, we'll worry about the rest later. There's a multivitamin for that or something.
That's true. That's
so, true. Just figuring out what is my best, what I want, what works for my life. Yeah. And not get so distracted what everybody else is doing.
Yeah. So just this week, so I'm have a business coach. Shout out to our Gritty girls because they're amazing. But so we're doing, inside of our coaching, we're doing this challenge, and I'm one of the team captains for our mini teams inside. And part of the things that we get points for, we post this video about, well, what was your custom goal, and talk about it and how you achieved it. And so this past week I had a fairly lofty goal. It took an entire day to do. I was filming some content for business in New Orleans, so on location type of stuff. It was a lot of planning that went into it, and
I didn't get invited.
Well, you were busy.
I was.
I know you were busy.
True story.
You know that you're always invited to come along for the shenanigans. But one of my girls commented that's in my team, and she's like, man, this makes my goal feel so small. And I instantly just kind of felt bad, and I'm like, and I thought about it, and I came back and I'm like, you know what, we all are running, essentially we're all running our own race, and just because my race looks different than your race doesn't make your goal any less valuable than me hitting my goal. I have weeks where sometimes the goal is to literally just make it to the end of the week, it's not about what can I achieve, what can I do, how do I push myself further, faster, better.
Right.
It's about, I'm so overloaded and so overwhelmed with everything that's going on in my life that the goal is literally to just make it to the end of the week without giving myself a migraine, because that's usually what happens on those weeks. I give so much throughout the week that come Wednesday, Thursday, on those weeks, I already know. I can feel it coming on, and it's like you give so much that it's like, and I hate to be like that it's a reminder for me that sometimes you have to prioritize, avoiding that just everything has to be perfect, which is really hard. We're both perfectionists. We talk about that a lot, and it is one of those things that it's hard to overcome, you know, when you're like, I want it. We have this drive for excellence, which I think is a very good thing. But sometimes you get that analysis paralysis.
Yeah,
where
it literally will stop you from doing anything for it not being perfect, which is just impossible.
Yeah. Yeah, don't ask us how long we planned this podcast.
Long enough. But here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are. We, the calling was real to do this. Mm-hmm. And we felt like it was important because a lot of the conversations we kind of have or we've had with other moms have been these relatable contexts where you feel like you're on an island. It's just only true to your situation. it's not really true. And I think it's one of those things, to go back to how social media is you only really see what people want you to see in that.
Yes.
And yeah, for our work, we post a lot on social media. It's just a part of it. And sometimes I'll be honest, if my kid says something crazy, I think it's funny, I'll post those things. I try not to always make it seem like it's so great or perfect, because it's not. But you don't know what that person had to do to get there. And if I'm even willing to do that, this looks great, but I don't want to do what you had to do to get there.
Right.
And so that's how I know it's not for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to do the work. So you find out your stuff. You find out what you want to do, what works for you, and then you will put in the work to make those things happen. Like, to be honest, I really don't care about my kids eating salad. I do have one that will. She eats pretty much anything that we cook, but come at me if you like. We probably have a couple different meals in our house just to make sure everybody eats fine.
Yep.
Everybody, that's all I care about. That you are fed. You're not, not getting what you need as far as nutrients in the house. No, it's not a healthy, balanced diet. Yeah. It just isn't. And listen, I have other battles to fight. That just ain't one.
Yeah. Well, and to circle back to what you're saying about social media and that like need to feel perfect, you really are I think you're very good at showing your real life and what your day-to-day is. I don't feel like you curate this just level of, this facade of being perfect. Like, you're very much, here's my kid hanging out in my car sunroof, and my kids are upstairs fighting right now, but they didn't come get me, so it's not my business.
It wasn't. They didn't call me, so I don't need to get involved myself. They'll work it out.
Yeah. It's something that and I love stories. I think it's a lot more intimate, and it's a great piece of social media that can show your real life and give you really true insight. And I have tried to get better about not curating this picture perfect image, which is hard. It is hard for me.
Yeah.
Because I, in the line of work that we're in, I have tons of branding photos, and I've got this. And so to show up real and raw, it's sometimes a challenge, but I commend you on yours, because you do a really good job. And I'm like, last night, I'm cooking dinner, and Levi's like, Mom, I really want to help you cook dinner. I'm like, okay, great. Like, he loves to cook. And so
God bless you for your patience for doing that, because I'm not built that way. That's one of those things. I won't put in that work. I don't cook in the first place. I do bake, but I don't cook in the first place. That's my husband's lane. Yeah. He's great at it. But I definitely don't want the kids helping.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. It's one of those things, it takes a lot of patience, and you have to really go, you have to be in the right mindset, I think, to be able to go, okay, I'm going to take this on, and we're going to do this. Now, granted, look, I do a lot of HelloFresh meals and meal kits, and, I've got kind of on a rotation, because we kind of get burnt out. And so that makes little ones helping, I think, a little bit easier, because it's like, okay, everything's already laid out and it's here, and, it makes it simpler. But like, he's like, Mom, we recently got an Alexa for Christmas, and he's like, Alexa, can you play, whatever song he wants to play? And I'm like, okay. And look, props to Alexa, because she does pick up on 90% of what he's saying. But we had music going, and he's like, Mom, let's take a picture, let's take a video. And so it's like, I'm trying to get better about posting those real life, like, moments of, this is just what we're doing. We're in the kitchen, we've got music blaring, and it's just, we're having a good time. It's not perfect. My house is messy. There was stuff all over the counter, but you know what? I stopped to just go, it doesn't matter. No one really cares. The only person that cares that there's stuff all over the counter is literally me.
Exactly. That's true.
It is. And, letting go of the people pleasing and the perfectionism, it takes skill. And it's something that, I do feel like this phase of life that we're in our 30s, you learn to start letting some of that go. I think, I look back and
you have to. It's a lot. That is a lot to worry about. Making other people happy, sacrificing you being happy. It's not worth it to me. Now, it's not that I don't struggle with it. 1,000% I still do, but probably a lot less than I did. Even 2 years ago. That I cannot put somebody else's happiness over it. But then the other point to when I post those things is some of those things other people may not be able to relate to. And there's an unfollow. There is, you just may not be my people, and that's okay. And I have to be good with that. Everybody isn't going to like you. Fine. And you just gotta tell. I told this to somebody. I'm like, everybody didn't even like Jesus. So who am I? I'm not special.
I love that point. That is a very profound and powerful thing to think about when you're like, in the world that we live in, it's so easy to get into, I'm going to conform to this and I'm going to conform to that. And it just, it makes us boring, I think. We each bring our own flavor and style, and just, you've got your own unique thing that you bring to the table. But that's that's a really powerful point that, my gosh, if Jesus, of all people, right?
Wasn't liked by all.
And let's be real, probably really wasn't liked by many.
True.
Keep your so the takeaways from that is keep your circle small, and it's okay if not everybody likes you.
Exactly. Exactly. So, it's true.
It is true. But yeah, just letting go of that. I think in my earlier years, you're so focused on just making it in life and getting, you don't really, I think in my 20s, I didn't really feel like an adult. Even though you are an adult, you are still very much not an adult in a lot of ways. And you have this just need of like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to, whatever it takes, I'm going to do. And I think that there's been a beautiful thing, whenever I turned 30, I'm like, oh, here we go. You feel this over the hill feeling.
I didn't feel bad for turning 30. I was actually welcoming it because I knew more of what I wanted and didn't want. I still don't know everything I want, but I knew more of what I didn't want from my 20s. So I welcomed my 30s. I'm good with making 40. But I did post recently that I'm not okay with being 20 years post-graduating high school. That hurts.
Yeah. Well, at 29, I thought, okay, after this birthday, we can just stop counting. And that was genuinely how I felt in that moment. And now I just embrace it so much. And I'm like, you couldn't pay me to go back, because the confidence that I found and just the acceptance of myself and really working on that personal growth and letting some of those things go and just going, you know what, done is better than perfect. And
exactly,
that's, there's really, what do you say outside of that? Like, at least you're moving things along instead of going, it has to be this or it has to be that. I think that's been probably one of the most valuable lessons I've learned in the last several years of getting older and just being able to actually let go.
Well, I've put that into mom life in the fact that, like, my kids will forget a lot of times, like, a class pet in a book sack or to pay for a free dress day or something like that. They would forget to tell me. Yep. They'd make it all the way to school, and then they'd come home and they're upset at me. And I'm like, I'm going to be honest. I have a lot to keep up with. I am not perfect. I will not remember everything, and it will be okay. You will survive. Yeah. It is impossible for me to stay up on top of absolutely everything. So then I have to make their dad get involved in, like, hey, listen, sometimes you got to follow through and check these emails, check whatever the school posting system is, because everything is everywhere. And you go and tell my kid, and my kid doesn't remember to tell me. And then they make me feel bad for forgetting. But I had to reel in that expectation that it's not always going to be taken care of for you. Yeah. I take care of the necessities in life.
Yeah.
Free dress day is going to slip sometimes. And no, we're not participating in every fundraiser. We are not participating in every fundraiser. I don't want to.
The pressures of the fundraisers at school. My gosh, we're just getting a taste of that. And there for a minute, I feel like we were doing a fundraiser like every single week. If we were not raising money for the fun run laps or, and some of them, I'm like, okay, look, there's only so much I can hit my family up for, like.
I don't. Some of those things I'll just take on, like certain ones I'm like, okay, yeah. I will reach you to this prize goal. And then that's it. Mm-hmm. And then it's like more and more. It used to be 2 a year, and now I feel like we're getting one like every couple of months, or like the school does one, the library does another one. I'm like, listen, I still have to pay my bills. Mm-hmm. I can't keep funding. Like, I want to participate, and then they feel guilty because they just want the prizes. I'm like, listen, I could take you to the Dollar Tree and get the same thing for half of what it's gonna cost me to participate in this fundraiser, and I don't like going to ask. I don't want to keep up with asking everybody to participate. So.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Listen, mom's not perfect. We ain't doing it all. Yeah. We're just not.
Well, and I think that's a good lesson because your 2 older girls, they're absolutely old enough and capable to remember when free dress is.
And they don't.
And they, and you know what? Sometimes I read this Facebook post the other day about how we as parents have this nature to protect our children.
And fix everything.
But the beauty and the growth happens in those moments that they have to deal with the consequences.
Right.
Whatever that may be. A dad was talking to the principal and they were like, we feel like, these would be adequate consequences for the situation that happened. And the dad emailed back and was like, I wholeheartedly agree. We're going to talk about additional consequences and things that we can do to help improve this issue. He didn't really go into what the issue was, obviously for probably privacy reasons for his child. But, the administrator emailed back and was like, we don't ever get this. Like, most parents are trying to fight us on the consequences or, they don't agree. And one of the best things you can do for your child is to let them feel those consequences. Because we as adults, when something doesn't happen the way we plan it, or there are consequences, whether it's, small, tiny, hey, we missed a deadline and so we didn't get to do this, or whatever it is. But there are definitely consequences to every life action, really.
Well, not even in the bad aspect of I did something wrong. Mm-hmm. I don't care how much we plan certain things. It doesn't matter. Oh, I've cleaned everything up. I'm ready for this perfect Instagram video.
Yeah.
And then here you are with a kid come yelling in the room or whatever. Sometimes things just happen.
Yeah.
And it will be okay.
Yeah.
There is no... And I say that in teaching that to my kids, but the reminder to myself that it's not always going to be perfect. It's not always going to be the way you want it to be. Mm-hmm. And you will still be okay. Yeah. Like, I can't pretend. And that was the thing. Yeah, we used to. There have been times where we've missed a free dress day, and Jared is like, okay, I'm going to go to the school and bring her a change of clothes. And I'm like, that is unsustainable for us as parents.
Yeah.
And then that's not real life. That every time something happens, there is going to be somebody to fix it for you.
This is true.
Sometimes you got to sit in it. Sometimes you have to fix it yourself.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you're going to be okay. I just don't want to put them out in this world thinking that everything is going to be that perfect little bubble the way that they need it to be.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, it's one of those things that they will be better for it, They will be better for it when they learn. And sometimes there's beauty in taking those consequences or digging themselves out of those holes. I mean, how often as, parents, as business owners, do we have to do that? I mean, I feel like that's a weekly, if not daily skill, you know? And this just kind of came to me. We deal with this a lot on the perfection side of, we both do a lot of new construction.
A lot of it.
A lot of new construction sales. And I tell my clients all the time, they always want to go in with that blue tape and
mark everything.
Every single, the texture didn't fly quite right here, or and look, there are things that need to be fixed. But I tell people all the time, whenever we're doing these walks, I'm like, here's what you have to remember. And same thing goes with telling them to do home inspections is, yes, this is a new house. But at the end of the day, it was built by human hands. And we're all human, and humans are not perfect. And so, you can come in and you can nitpick and you think it's fine, it's brand new, it's, but it's ultimately, we're all human, and not everything is going to be 100% perfect on that.
I love the blue tape in the closets.
Right? And the garage.
And this is what I tell them. I'm like, chances are you're going to move in and you're not even going to notice half of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And then the other part is the blessing of new construction is there will be time to go back in later to fix it. You know, you have that list and you say, okay, I'm going to correct these things later, or, you know, and if it sits on that list and it doesn't bother you later, then it just doesn't exist.
Yep.
Just live in it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's just one of those things that sometimes we got to just live in it a little bit to figure out, is this really as big of a deal as I'm trying to make it out to be?
Yeah.
Like, I think about physical things about myself that, like, I used to want to be taller, and God said no. And I used to wear taller shoes, and God said no. You're too old for that now. I do it sometimes, but, like, for the most part, I'm a tennis shoe girl. Yep. Boots with a thick heel kind of person.
A little a wedge.
Yeah, a little lift. But I don't need to be tall. I'm comfortable in myself, which I think is the bigger thing to counteract with the perfectionist side of me, is that I'm good being me. I love me. And sometimes you need that daily reminder that I love me, and that's all. Yeah. That's all I need.
Yeah. In a world where we're constantly inundated with, you know, plastic surgery centers, medical centers that, you know, oh, you can get Botox for this. Oh, you can do this for this. Oh, we can wrap you for this. Like, I mean, right, there's a fix for everything physical. And I love that you brought that point up, because that really wasn't where my head was starting this conversation. But I think as women, it's so hard to kind of physically make peace with some of those things that we're self-conscious about. And now it's so easy. It's at your fingertips. Oh, I'm going to go get a lip flip. I'm going to go get this. And look, there's nothing wrong with those things.
Well, having had children, you look at other moms and you're like, oh my God, look at her. She just had a baby. She's running a marathon.
Yes.
No, I'm not. Well, first of all, I don't run. So let's start. Baby are fresh off the emergency room.
Yep.
No, I'm not running.
Yeah.
But you look at those things and you can't help but compare yourself to those people. And again, you go back to, I don't know what they put in to get that way.
Right.
And I may not be willing to make that sacrifice.
100%.
Chances are I'm not willing to sacrifice king cake in January, in February, to eat clean. I don't want, so it just, are you willing to make those sacrifices if you knew what it took to get to that person's goal, or what you physically see to get there?
Yeah, it does. It takes a lot. And you know, when you reframe it like that and you look at it from the other perspective, that person, you know, they may have spent a lot of money. They may have spent hours in the gym. You don't know what they have done to achieve those things. So I think the biggest takeaway that I have is, don't let being a perfectionist or feeling like I've got to be perfect, I've got to look perfect, I've got to post the perfect Instagram, don't let that steal your joy.
Or stop you from living your life.
So we hope that this has helped, and that we all feel that we're probably all in the same boat on this.
Yes, and, as perfectionists in progress. We're working on it.
Absolutely. We will see y'all next week.